诚挚欢迎出席2023年中国国际服务贸易交易会全球服务贸易峰会，衷心感谢各国、国际组织和各界朋友的支持和参与。中国政府高度重视本届服贸会的举办，在今天全球服务贸易峰会上，中华人民共和国主席习近平将发表重要视频致辞，国务院副总理何立峰莅临会场并宣布开幕。出席今天峰会的还有贝宁总统塔隆、国际贸易组织总干事伊维拉、联合国贸易和发展会议秘书长格林斯潘、经济合作与发展组织秘书长科尔曼，以及来自42个国家和地区的部长级嘉宾和代表。有关国家驻华使节、国际组织代表。参加今天峰会的还有国家相关部委、中央和地方交易团负责同志，以及境内外商协会和中外企业负责人。本届中国国际服务贸易交易会以开放引领发展、合作共赢未来为主题，围绕促进更高水平开放、创新、合作，将举办全球服务贸易峰会、展览展示、论坛会议、推介洽谈、成果发布和系列配套活动。83个国家和国际组织设展办会，2400余家境内外企业线下参展。我们期待与会嘉宾充分利用这一平台，积极沟通交流，凝聚发展共识，深化服务贸易合作，努力达成更多互利共赢的成果。现在，让我们有请中华人民共和国主席习近平发表视频致辞。
尊敬的各国领导人，尊敬的各位国际组织负责人，尊敬的各代表团团长，各位来宾，女士们、先生们、朋友们，大家好！我谨代表中国政府和中国人民，并以我个人名义，向出席2023年中国国际服务贸易交易会的新老朋友表示热烈的欢迎和诚挚的问候。本届服贸会以开放引领发展、合作共赢未来为主题，将持续发挥扩大开放、深化合作、引领创新的重要平台作用，为全球服务业和服务贸易的发展凝聚共识，增强信心，汇聚合力。当前百年变局加速演进，世界经济复苏动力不足，服务贸易是国际贸易的重要组成部分，服务业是国际经贸合作的重要领域。 全球服务贸易和服务业合作深入发展，数字化、智能化、绿色化进程不断加快，新技术、新业态、新模式层出不穷，为推动经济全球化、恢复全球经济活力、增强世界经济发展韧性注入了强大动力。今年是中国改革开放45周年，中国将坚持推进高水平对外开放，以高质量发展全面推进中国式现代化，为各国开放合作提供新机遇。中国愿同各国各方一道，以服务开放推动包容发展，以服务合作促进联动融通，以服务创新培育发展动能，以服务共享创造美好未来，携手推动世界经济走上持续复苏轨道。我们将打造更加开放包容的发展环境，扩大面向全球的高标准自由贸易区网络，积极开展服务贸易和投资负面清单谈判，扩大电信、旅游、法律、职业考试等服务领域对外开放，在国家服务业扩大开放综合示范区以及有条件的自由贸易试验区和自由贸易港，率先对接国际高标准经贸规则，放宽服务业市场准入，有序推进跨境服务贸易开放进程，提升服务贸易标准化水平，稳步扩大制度性开放。我们将拉紧互利共赢的合作纽带，加强同各国的发展战略和合作倡议对接，深化同共建“一带一路”国家服务贸易和数字贸易合作，促进各类资源要素跨境流动便利化，培育更多经济合作增长点。我们将强化创新驱动的发展路径，加快培育服务贸易数字化新动能，推动数据基础制度先行先试改革，促进数字贸易改革创新发展，建设全国温室气体自愿减排交易市场，支持服务业在绿色发展中发挥更大作用，推动服务贸易现代服务业、高端制造业、现代农业融合发展，释放更多创新活力。我们将共享中国式现代化建设成果，着力扩大国内需求，加快建设强大国内市场，主动扩大优质服务进口，鼓励扩大知识密集型服务出口，以中国大市场机遇为世界提供新的发展动力，以高质量发展为全球提供更多更好的中国服务，增强世界人民的获得感。女士们、先生们、朋友们，世界经济开放则兴，封闭则衰，让我们共同维护来之不易的自由贸易和多边贸易体制，共同分享全球服务贸易发展的历史机遇，为开创世界更加美好繁荣的未来共同努力。谢谢大家。
感谢习近平主席。刚才，习近平主席在致辞中充分肯定了中国国际服务贸易交易会的重要作用，宣布了中国深化服务领域高水平开放的重要举措，必将对促进全球服务贸易发展和中国服务业扩大开放产生重大而深远的影响。现在，有请贝宁总统塔隆致辞。
Silence, Monsieur le Vice-Premier ministre de la République populaire de Chine, Mesdames et Messieurs, distingués participants, permettez-moi tout d'abord de remercier le président Xi Jinping pour m'avoir invité à prendre part à l'édition 2023 de la Foire internationale du commerce et des services en Chine. C'est également pour moi l'occasion de saluer l'engagement et les efforts sans cesse croissants de la Chine et de ses hautes autorités en faveur des pays en développement, notamment ceux du continent africain, en adéquation avec l'idée de communauté de destin pour l'humanité que le président Xi Jinping promeut de fort belle manière. Mais au-delà de cet engagement pour le bien-être partagé, je voudrais également ici reconnaître et saluer le modèle chinois dans sa globalité. Un modèle dont l'efficacité en termes de développement équilibré et durable, en termes de création de richesses et d'élimination de la pauvreté au sein de la communauté chinoise, inspire mon pays, le Bénin, tel que je l'ai exprimé il y a quelques mois sur une chaîne de télévision française. Mesdames et Messieurs, depuis plusieurs décennies, nous assistons dans le monde à une forte mutation des conditions de production, d'échange et d'interdépendance dans laquelle la République populaire de Chine joue un rôle prépondérant sous le leadership éclairé et efficace de ses autorités politiques. Mais il est malheureux de constater que, dans le village planétaire que constitue désormais le monde, l'Afrique reste quasiment absente des chaînes de valeur qui contribuent au développement de l'humain et permettent un meilleur partage des richesses. L'Afrique reste globalement et essentiellement exportatrice de matières premières brutes agricoles ou minières et ne participe pas suffisamment aux échanges commerciaux mondiaux, notamment en matière de services. Il est vrai que dans le passé lointain, dans le proche passé ou même dans le présent, les communautés humaines ont toujours été en compétition. Mais le monde change et il est devenu un village dans lequel le destin de nous tous est devenu commun. C'est pourquoi la coopération s'impose désormais à nous tous afin que le village commun soit vivable ensemble. C'est l'une des raisons pour lesquelles mon pays, le Bénin, s'associe pleinement au projet stratégique que la Chine entend promouvoir sous le leadership du président Xi Jinping. Mesdames et Messieurs, La présente édition de la CIFTIS m'offre l'occasion de plaider pour un accroissement tangible de l'investissement productif dans les pays africains afin de leur permettre une meilleure intégration dans les chaînes de valeur au niveau mondial. En effet, c'est une évidence, aujourd'hui plus qu'hier, que l'aide au développement classique ne suffira pas à elle seule à soutenir le développement économique durable dans les pays en développement. Il faut une nouvelle orientation de l'aide au développement. Il faut remplacer l'aide au développement par l'aide à l'investissement direct étranger. En cela, la Chine peut prendre le lead et montrer la voie aux autres pays développés par le basculement de sa politique de coopération vers la promotion et l'appui de l'investissement chinois en Afrique. Un tel appui par l'État chinois à ses investisseurs en Afrique ne manquera pas de pertinence parce que l'Afrique paraît encore peu attrayante aux yeux des investisseurs chinois en raison de la mauvaise perception et de la surévaluation du risque sur le continent africain. Or, la plupart des pays africains ont aujourd'hui un environnement plus favorable à l'investissement étranger, mais continuent d'être globalement perçus à tort comme des pays à haut risque. De ce fait, aujourd'hui, les entreprises chinoises publiques et privées investissent massivement dans le monde, mais encore très peu en Afrique. Il est vrai, mesdames et messieurs, qu'un certain nombre de vulnérabilités regrettables persistent ici et là sur le continent africain, mais je puis vous assurer que bon nombre de pays comme le Bénin ont engagé une mutation et opèrent des réformes qui leur donnent désormais une attractivité sans pareille. Au Bénin, par exemple, nous avons refusé toute participation au mécanisme d'annulation de la dette des pays en voie de développement suite à la crise économique induite par la pandémie de Covid-19. Nous l'avons fait parce que nous avons l'intime conviction qu'il n'y a rien de pire pour un investisseur que de voir le fruit de ses efforts annulé par des décisions politiques. Nous avons également, au Bénin, réformé le marché du travail pour nous assurer que tout investisseur venant dans notre pays ne soit pas tributaire d'une administration inefficace, de corruption, de grèves sauvages et autres freins à la bonne marche des entreprises. Les réformes réalisées et les investissements et infrastructures consentis au Bénin ont permis de faire du port autonome de Cotonou l'un des ports les plus performants de notre sous-région ouest-africaine, voire de l'Afrique. Les investissements technologiques en cours avec notre partenaire Huawei permettront de faire du Bénin un hub logistique de classe mondiale. Enfin, comme ce fut le cas ici en Chine, nous avons adopté une loi pour la promotion des zones économiques spéciales et la première zone industrielle de Glodjigbe, non loin de Cotonou, complètement opérationnelle, accueille déjà des investisseurs. J'espère repartir de Chine demain avec quelques investisseurs chinois, car l'ambition du Bénin est de devenir un hub industriel de transformation des produits agricoles tels le cajou, le coton, le karité, l'ananas, le soja, de sorte que les services et le commerce qui les accompagnent puissent intégrer le Bénin un peu mieux dans les échanges internationaux. Mesdames et messieurs, la transformation structurelle que nous voulons et qui permettra à mon pays, le Bénin, de réduire drastiquement le taux de pauvreté ne sera possible que si les investissements disposent de deux éléments supplémentaires que sont le capital humain et le capital financier. En ce qui concerne le capital humain, nous investissons massivement dans des programmes de formation technique pour accroître l'employabilité de nos jeunes. Pour accompagner les investissements directs étrangers, le gouvernement béninois est disposé à offrir des subventions pouvant aller jusqu'à 50% de la masse salariale locale pendant les premières années. Ce faisant, l'effort de formation réalisé par les investisseurs est partagé et le risque amoindri. En matière de capital financier, le Bénin a décidé, avec le gouvernement chinois, d'innover encore plus. Ainsi, toute entreprise chinoise désireuse d'investir au Bénin pourra disposer d'un co-investissement public sino-béninois et de façon concrète, et en nous appuyant sur le China Africa Development Fund, nous allons mettre en place un mécanisme de co-investissement qui permettra de sécuriser les investisseurs chinois au Bénin. Si au bout de 5 années, l'investisseur souhaite se retirer du Bénin, la plateforme reprendra son investissement et son capital lui sera remboursé. Ce serait un moyen formidable de promouvoir un nouveau paradigme, celui qui incite à l'investissement productif des entreprises chinoises en Afrique. Une Chine qui encourage les investissements directs étrangers en Afrique, notamment au Bénin, contribuera davantage à la création massive d'emplois et à la réduction de la pauvreté. Cette évolution stratégique reflète notre aspiration à une collaboration Chine-Afrique qui non seulement élèvera nos nations, mais participera également à la visibilité de notre solidarité et de notre engagement à bâtir avec nos pays une communauté de destin. Le volume des échanges commerciaux entre le Bénin et la Chine a atteint en 2022 environ 2 milliards de dollars, avec un accroissement de plus de 30% en glissement annuel. J'ai la conviction que grâce à ce changement de paradigme, nous parviendrons à doubler ce chiffre dans les 3 prochaines années et à mieux l'équilibrer. Mesdames et messieurs, promouvoir les échanges et les investissements demande également une libre circulation des personnes. Depuis 2016 et la mise en place du e-visa au Bénin, nous avons largement simplifié le processus de délivrance de visa. Mais je voudrais aller plus loin en annonçant ici, à Beijing, la suppression totale des visas pour les ressortissants chinois qui souhaitent visiter le Bénin et découvrir notre histoire, notre culture, car très souvent, les échanges commerciaux sont également le fruit d'une connaissance culturelle mutuelle approfondie. Désormais donc, pour tout Chinois, l'entrée au Bénin serait libre. J'aurais plaisir à revenir faire ici le bilan de toutes ces initiatives, le bilan de toutes ces initiatives lors des prochaines éditions de la CIFTIS, car je suis convaincu qu'ici, ensemble, nous sommes en train de bâtir le nouveau partenariat entre la Chine et l'Afrique. Je souhaite plein succès à l'édition 2023 de la CIFTIS et vous remercie de votre aimable attention.
感谢塔隆总统。下面有请世界贸易组织总干事伊维拉致辞。
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I couldn't join you in Beijing this time, but I'm happy to be sharing this message. The themes for this year's edition of the China International Fair for Trade in Services, opening up, cooperation, innovation, and smart services, reflects some of the driving forces in economies today. Services are at the heart of countries' growth and development agenda. This is because the world economy is more and more service-centric. Services account for 67% of GDP worldwide and 50% of jobs, and constitute the most dynamic component of trade. Assessed in value-added terms, services trade already represents more than 50% of global trade. As a latest World Bank WTO joint study put it, services are, quote, central determinants of productivity, competitiveness, and rising living standards. The ability to supply, access, and export efficient, affordable, and innovative services has become central to the realization of development strategies, end quote. This points to why China's national development plans set out objectives and a roadmap for the services sector, including services trade. Though China's economic rise is widely seen as a manufacturing story, the fact is that China could not have become the world's factory without the range of services necessary for industrial supply chains to function well. China is becoming a services supply and demand hub as well. Years of rapid services trade growth have made China the world's fourth largest services exporter and the second largest services importer. The country is now home to famous tech companies such as Alibaba, Tencent, and ByteDance. Since China acceded to the WTO in 2001, its share of world services exports has increased by over 2.5 times, from 2.4 to 6.5% in 2021. Innovation remains at the heart of the growth and transformation of services trade. Decades ago, it was container shipping and credit card payments. Today, it is digital platforms and fintech solutions that are revolutionizing the services sector and unlocking new avenues for productivity, growth, job creation, and trade. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when tourism, travel, and other in-person services collapsed, digital services trade thrived, becoming a lifeline both for businesses and homebound consumers. Numerous innovations emerged or achieved scale during the pandemic, from contactless delivery to virtual conferences, telemedicine, and remote work solutions. These innovations are transforming our lives, and they are transforming how services are traded across borders. After registering double-digit growth in 2020 and 2021, global exports of digitally delivered services, that is, services delivered over digital networks, were worth $3.8 trillion, equivalent to 54% of global services trade and 12% of total trade in goods and services. Services will also be critical for transitioning our economies to a low-carbon, sustainable future. Green services, from low-carbon mobility such as carpooling and bicycle sharing to smart electricity grids that better manage and store energy from intermittent sources such as wind and solar, will be a key part of the puzzle for meeting the climate challenge. Services are critically important for socioeconomic inclusion because they disproportionately employ young people and women. The overwhelming majority of micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises, MISMEs, that account for the lion's share of employment in China as elsewhere, operate in the services sector. To unlock the full potential of services trade as a driver of growth and job creation, we need to do more at the international level. Services-related trade costs are roughly double those for goods. International cooperation can help lower these costs while still preserving space for legitimate regulation in the public interest. The WTO has already been delivering results in this area. Around 70 WTO members, including China, together accounting for more than 92% of global services trade, have signed up to an agreement on services domestic regulation, a set of good regulatory practices that will lower business costs by making rules simpler and more transparent. More recently, over 110 of the WTO's 164 members concluded negotiations on the text of an agreement on investment facilitation, which promises to simplify and therefore encourage foreign direct investment in all economic sectors, services, and goods. In addition, a group of nearly 90 WTO members, including the US, the EU, and China, are working hard to develop a set of basic global rules for digital trade. There are additional steps governments can take at the multilateral level to bolster services trade, such as improving existing services commitments. Revitalizing the multilateral trading system requires dedicated engagement from all WTO members, including China. As a key stakeholder in the multilateral trading system, China can help foster the international cooperation needed to maximize the benefits from services trade. Thank you for your attention. I wish you great success in this event.
感谢伊维拉总干事。下面有请联合国贸易和发展会议秘书长格林斯潘致辞。
Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I stand before you today as the Secretary General of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, but more importantly, as a representative of our diverse and interconnected global family. We are gathered here today for the China International Fair for Trade in Services, an event which greatly illustrates the evolving phase of the global economy and the immense potential of service-based industries. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the organizers for hosting such a remarkable event and for inviting me to share some thoughts with all of you. As we continue to navigate the complexities of the 21st century, we find ourselves at a moment where the concept of trade itself is undergoing profound transformations. Our economies, traditionally characterized by the exchange of industrial goods and commodities, are progressively moving towards a hybrid model where services play an ever larger role, not only in terms of what we trade and consume, but also especially in terms of how we produce, as our manufacturing goes digital and as our citizens spend more time and more money online. This shift not only reveals the evolving dynamic of global commerce, but it also brings to light new opportunities and challenges that we as an international community must address together. According to UNCTAD, service export reached $7 trillion last year, up from $3 trillion in 2006. Remarkably, for most years in the last 2 decades, service exports from developing countries have grown faster than those from developed nations, demonstrating the dynamism and potential of this sector in the global south. Service trade has therefore the potential to reshape our economies and societies. It is a powerful engine for growth, job creation, and economic diversification. It can bridge gaps, create opportunities, and play a pivotal role in reducing inequality, both within and among countries. But to truly harness the power of the service sector, we must ensure that it is aligned with the principles of sustainable development, inclusivity, and fair trade. One of the key lessons from the recent global events and crises is the need for resilience in our systems. Services, particularly those linked to digital technologies, have demonstrated their resilience and adaptability, servicing as lifelines for individuals, businesses, and economies during periods of turmoil, such as the COVID-19 pandemic. As we advance, it is crucial that we build upon this resilience, using it as a springboard for a future that is secure, sustainable, and inclusive. Ladies and gentlemen, the United Nations recognizes the need for multilateral cooperation and the rule-based international trading system as the cornerstone of our shared economic prosperity and stability. However, we also acknowledge that the system must evolve in response to the changing landscape of global trade. The transition to a service-based economy cannot be an exclusive privilege of a select few nations. It must be an inclusive process where developing nations are given equal opportunity to harness the potential of the service industry. Access to technology, investment, capacity building, and digital literacy are essential components of this vision. The growing digital and data divides must be addressed heads-on, and we must work together to ensure that no one is left behind in this digital revolution. China is a leader in the Global South and a pioneer in digital technology, and has a significant role to play in this global mission. Your innovations, your investments, and your vision can help shape the future of global service trade. Your commitment to international cooperation and the trade system asserts your role as a leader in the global community. In closing, I would like to conclude by invoking a profound Chinese proverb. I quote, "A single thread cannot become a cord. A single tree cannot become a forest." This ancient wisdom emphasizes the power of unity and collaboration. It reminds us that progress can never be achieved in isolation. A single nation, much like the single thread or tree in the proverb, cannot bring about sustainable, inclusive growth alone. It is through our collective effort, through the intertwining of our ambitions and destinies, that we will weave a resilient global economy and build a prosperous, equitable future. Trade in services, with its potential to link us all together, no matter how far we are to each other, will be an integral part of this mission. And we, at UNCTAD, stand ready to work hand in hand with all nations towards this goal. I thank you all.
感谢格林斯潘秘书长。下面有请经济合作与发展组织秘书长科尔曼致辞。
Excellencies, distinguished guests, a very warm thank you to the Ministry of Commerce and also to the Beijing municipality for the opportunity to address you at this 2023 China International Fair for Trade in Services. The global services trade is a key driver of international commerce and growth, with exports in services outpacing the growth of both merchandise exports and global GDP since 2014. The global trade in services now accounts for about 50% of world trade in value-added terms. This rapid expansion has been driven in particular by technology and by better communication infrastructure, which has made it much easier to trade services seamlessly across borders. That said, services trade did fall deeper and more sharply than merchandise trade during the COVID-19 pandemic. The global economy is improving, though the recovery is to lower global growth by historical standards. The OECD projects global growth to reach 2.7% this year and pick up modestly to 2.9% in 2024, though I hasten to add that risks continue to be tilted to the downside. In China, the OECD expects growth this year to rebound to 5.4%, up from 3% last year, and to reach 5.1% next year. Service sector activity has started to recover well and has become a major driver of growth so far this year, particularly due to strong demand in both China and the United States. A vibrant global market for trade in services will be essential to keep the global growth momentum going. But there are challenges we could and should tackle. Rising services trade barriers, particularly for services that are fundamental to the digital economy, such as computer services, may constrain our ability to fully translate strong demand into stronger global growth. China is a key contributor to the global trade in services, representing about 6.4% of the world's total services trade value. And China has made some very important progress when it comes to liberalizing its services sector, with further opportunities to build on this liberalization process even further. Consider this, China's contribution to the global services trade is still only half that of what China contributes to global merchandise trade. So there is clearly further room to grow. Several policy tools, including those envisaged in China's 14th five-year plan, can support that stronger growth. First, we see a need for further policy reforms to provide the right enabling environment for service trade liberalization and investment. At the OECD, we're working together with China's Ministry of Commerce and the Development Research Center of the State Council to support further progress in liberalizing trade in services, in particular in sectors such as legal and courier services, and to further explore the application of our Services Trade Restrictiveness Index to help inform discussions on services reform in China. Bridging just half the gap between China's current level of restrictiveness, as measured by the index, and global policy best practice, could reduce trade costs by more than 20%, enhancing the international competitiveness of the Chinese economy. Second, we see a need for further investment in education and skills development. Effective education and skills training systems which provide foundational skills like critical thinking and creativity will be key to ensuring everyone has the best possible opportunity to benefit from and participate in the ongoing transformations going on in the economy in China and globally, and hence to help drive a stronger growth moving forward. Transformations, in particular, the digital and green transformations of our economies. Our 2022 economic survey of China suggests ensuring equal access to education for migrant workers in cities and improving access to high-quality education outside of the mega cities, including by providing more education assistance, helping to cover the cost of primary and secondary education. This could help bridge gaps in well-being across provinces. Currently, differences in labor productivity make up as much as half of the difference between GDP per capita between the leading and lagging provinces across China. Third, enhancing intellectual property rights protections. These protections can significantly benefit Chinese businesses by providing a powerful incentive to invest in new technologies, processes and techniques, boosting competition and business dynamism. Better access to recourse in intellectual property disputes would benefit both innovative Chinese services exporters and foreign investors in the Chinese services sector. In closing, China's policy reform agenda has and can continue to provide a significant boost to its services trade, helping to drive stronger growth in China as well as stronger global growth. The OECD looks forward to further strengthening and deepening our long-standing partnership with China on these and other important policy challenges and opportunities. To further support China's transition from an investment-led to a consumption-driven growth model in which the services sector will play a key part. My very best wishes for a positive and productive exchange at the 2023 China International Fair for Trade in Services over the coming days. Thank you very much.
感谢科尔曼秘书长。下面有请尹力书记继续主持峰会。
感谢各位外方嘉宾的精彩致辞。刚才各位嘉宾就深化服务贸易领域务实合作，促进全球服务贸易创新发展，发表了真知灼见，提出了许多建设性意见建议，对办好本届服贸会将发挥重要的作用。现在，有请中华人民共和国国务院副总理何立峰宣布开幕。
我宣布，2023年中国国际服务贸易交易会开幕。
2023年中国国际服务贸易交易会全球服务贸易峰会到此结束。感谢今天线下线上与会嘉宾的积极参与，请大家欢送中外领导人离场。